Thokozani bogogo, thokozani tindlondlo, thokozani bantfu labahle, thokozani bantfu labadzala, amakhehla amakhulu, thokozani talukati, thokozani nani bantfwana belitfonga, thokozani madloti lamahle, vuselanini ngivuselanini emakhaya enu, ngivuselanini etintumbeni tenu, ngivuselanini lenini nemisamo, nani leninganawo, vuselanini nemadloti wenu. Google Afro-Savvy Spiritual School, Module 2, we're starting today. We have taken a break, but we're here on with Lesson 1, and Module 2 is Amadlozi. So we'll be talking about Amadlozi, or we'll be teaching on Amadlozi, the different ancestral spirits. We will be looking at what they are, how they connect with us, and how we are connected with them, and generally how each one of them work, and how, so that you'll be able to recognize what it is when you are actually experiencing stuff. The first lesson is going to be led by Mkhulu Ben Silindza.
Ngiyavusela nami kakhulu abalandeli bonke be-Afro-Safe nakubo bonke be-Instagram sithokozani bogogo thokozani bomkhulu ndawo eshewe la.
Ndawo eshewe khehla siyabonga. I was introducing the topic and letting the viewers understand what Module 2 is going to be about, that we're going to be teaching on the different spirits, different ancestral spirits. And I also expressed that I'm actually really excited for this module, and that we have a good lineup of teachers starting with you. I had not said that today, what we'll be talking about today, so I'm just going to introduce that we will be talking about Lidloti Lasekhaya. Lidloti Lasekhaya not in the terms of Gutwasa, because we discussed that in the Gutwasa module. But now we're going to go into depth. When we spoke about it, then we're speaking about how it is Twaswat, the initiation process, but today we're going to be looking at what it actually is. That is what we're going to be interrogating. What it is, how it communicates, how we get to understand and work and initiate and work with Lidloti, what it is, how it expresses. That is what we're going to be discussing today. But like we expressed in our discussions before this, you said before we get into the topic, it is important to differentiate what the difference between Lidloti and Litronga. I'm going to leave it to you, Mkhulu. I hand it over to you to break it down for us.
Okay, thokozani nonke emakhaya ngenibingelela. Yebo, ya kusho ukuthi kubalekile lokho ukuthi vele sikuhlukanise lokho. We make a difference between Tongo and Lidloti. Though normally we use it as one word and combine it, giving it same meaning, but actually these two, they are not the same. They are different, you see, because when we talk of Tongo, Gakulu, you are speaking of those who have passed on, those who are no more. Normally they will say Amatongo, because these people, they are no more with us, and basebutongweni kuthiwa balele abantu abalele ukulala ukubuthongo kulala buthongo. So these people, they get their name ukuthi basebutongweni, and at the same time they normally like to visit us through dreams, and they like to come to us through dreams and reveal themselves and speak to us the things they want and that they are happy for us to do and not to do, and happen mostly through the dreams. So we have got those people who are late, who are no more, and those are the one we normally call them Amatongo. And then when we talk of Lidloti, normally we say umuntu unedloti. And when we say umuntu unedloti, we are talking now about someone who has got a calling, someone who is called now to to be a sangoma or to be inyanga or to be ligedla, and then we talk about those people and say this person unelidloti. And a lidloti, when you're talking of it now, we are talking of a spirit, which when we're talking of a spirit is something that even doesn't have a gender. When we're talking of a spirit doesn't have a gender. A spirit is just a spirit, but it doesn't have a gender. But though it will have a character, it will have some certain characteristics, but it doesn't have a gender. That's why it can possess anyone within a family. Then now we are talking about Lidlosti, then we are talking about those spirits that are used by Abangoma and the Tinyanga and all these people who are in this traditional healing. They're using those are the spirits which they use. But now we have got a tendency of mixing the both as if it's something that is one. Like when a person says, meaning it's not as such like umuntu ungenwe ugogo wakhe. Uyabona umuntu abantu labalele balele abahambi bangena. They don't take over and possess you ukuthi ube inyanga. The only thing that you are in the same calling which your grandmother was in, and you are going to use the same spirit which your grandmother was using. But it's not that you have been possessed or taken over by your grandmother as such. You see, but you are going to use the very same spirit that was in them. Because a spirit can, once a spirit is in a certain family, it will stay in that family for so many years, because the purpose for it is to heal people. And then when that person dies, and then that person will be the one who will choose whom the person who will inherit the very same spirit, and then that person will take over from there and continue with the healing using that very same spirit. Because again, we must put it straight that spirits, they don't possess us as such. We are born with the spirit. You see, it's not something that is foreign, that possess. That's why it's impossible that, some people, they'll go to churches and go to different places and say they cast the spirit out and say, come out, come out. You see, let's say now, when you have got a calling, there are several people who go to churches and think that when they go there, then the pastor can cast out that spirit and remove that spirit. But such thing, it's impossible to happen, because you are not possessed. You see, because things that can be cast out are spirits that you are possessed with. But a spirit that it's within your bloodstream, it's impossible that you can remove that spirit from that person, because that spirit is within you, it's embedded in you, it's part of you, it's part of your life. So when you come now and say, we remove, that's why I've seen people moving from one church to another, calling especially, thinking that the calling will disappear. They will be prayed in this church, they'll be prayed in this, thinking that some pastors will even promise them that, no, we'll cast out this demon, we'll cast out this evil spirit, and you will be fine. But they find that it's impossible, that thing to happen, because the spirit is within this person. The person was born with the spirit. If you are born with the spirit, it will be impossible that you can remove the spirit from the person, because the spirit is part of you. It's like your emotions. Your emotions that you are born with are with you. No one can remove them. The way you are. So your spirit is part of you, even like your emotions. It's part of your soul, and it cannot be removed from you. No one can cast it because you are born with that spirit. But you, at the same time, that's why a person normally doesn't inherit a spirit from mother or father, but it will be grandmother or normally the great grandmother, because those people normally must be late, and then you inherit their spirit. Now, when they are late, then you are born. They chose you because the way we are born, we are chosen from birth. It is the will of the ancestors that now they decide that so and so must be born, and we are born with that spirit, and that spirit will continually live in us. So I'm trying to separate between the lidloti and itonga, because itonga is those who have fallen asleep. It's those esiphahla kubo when we invoke them. It's those that we invoke. You see, when we, yeah.
So, we can, ordinarily you cannot have, your lama gwakho noma laba gwakho, but are they, those people will they be litongo? Can they come to you in tongue, but they will not be lot?
You know, the lidloti lako, like now we're talking about lidloti, which let's say your mother was a sangom or whatsoever, is a sangom or was a sangom. So people who will inherit lidloti lak, mostly it will be your children, not you.
But by litongo.
No, yeah, they can't be tongo, yeah. But at the same time, we don't necessarily sipahle in our parents. We don't ask partly to our parents. We don't invoke our parents necessarily. We invoke our grandfathers and grandmother. But our parents, we use them as a key because they have brought us into this world. They become our key when we access our ancestors. You know, now I'm just touching a bit the issue, your past. You know, when you're talking about upasha, you know, we have made it so a very simple process, because before, when you're talking about upasha, when you still have your parents, there was no need for you. Yeah, there was no need for you to pass when your parents are still alive. You were only supposed to do that when your parents are no more. Then you can do that. But when they are still alive, they are the one who does that on your behalf, because they are your key. You see, when you go to your ancestors, you will say, I am so and so, born by so and so. You come with the name of your father or your mother. If, let me say, now I'm invoking my ancestors in the mother's side, kumele ngisho ukuthi mina ngimi nginguzibani wakazibani, ngizalwa ngubani, and quoting my mother, because my mother, she is the key to a matongo army in the side yabo mama. If I'm now invoking on the side of the father, I will mention my father and say, mina ngingimi nguzibani, ngizalwa nguzibani, and mention the name of my father, and then now I go through, then get sengiyakhuluma nabo Mkhulu ke ngiyababiza bomkhulu, because mostly vele I will deal with bomkhulu, not even when we talk vele, we talk about ogogo no Mkhulu. There's no way we talk with oh mama no baba, as we don't pasha oh mama no baba. It's not like that. We pasha oh mama, but we recognize them because they become our key, especially when they are no more. We will mention them. With I am so and so, we will mention them then in passing. Unless if we are doing a ceremony for them that is directly at them, obviously we'll come to them and inform them. You see, but now again we must now know ukuthi kunekuphahla, kunekubiga, kunekuphamba. You see, these things has got level on how they are being done. You see, but now we are bigger, now we are phahla, now we are khuluma, now we are phamba, and these things have got level. And then number 5, uyashweleta. You see, this has got level now. It will depend now, what are you exactly doing? Uyaphahla, uyaphamba, uyakhuluma, uyabika, uyashweleta. And these things, they are done in different formats. So when you approach your ancestors, who approach Amatonga, because all these things will be done towards Amatonga. And when you do it towards Amatonga, then automatically there's going to be a different ways of how do you do it. How do your approach will be motivated on what exactly are you doing. You see?
So
yeah.
I want us to note here for the viewer as well and the learners here that the difference that you are making between, because when we speak in English, we speak collectively of ancestors.
Yes.
And we do not in that language there's no differentiation between Ilidlodi and Iltonga. So you're just bringing something up here that is important to note. That is key. That when we speak of ancestors, we speak of Lidloti or we're speaking of Litong. And Lidloti, you have mentioned that is the spirit that actually possesses you, that you are actually born with.
Yeah.
That's why that spirit is a spirit of your ancestors who were healers and
yes.
And are wanting to pass, who also use spirits of their ancestors. So that would be wanting to pass on the gift on, or to have the gift carry on in this planet through you, or in this realm through you. And then Itongo would be everybody that we have lost in our lineage who are not necessarily Amadlozi, who are not that communicate with us, that can communicate with us at any given point through dreams, like you say, that Itongo pertains to dreams. I would like to note that there are other ways of communication besides dreaming, that Itongo, that those people or our ancestors should be able to access us, to give information to us, or to communicate with us. And also, while we're speaking of Litongo, it would be nice to point out that when those spirits, Amatongo, which was the people that are in our lineage, those are the people when we pasha, or whatever communication that we do, means of trying to communicate with our ancestors. Those are also the people that would be pasharing to Amatongo way to Pandle.
Yes, yeah, Amatongo. Because when we're talking of Lidloti, for example, we are talking about Umdawe, Lidloti lelo. We could say the person has got Lidloti lemdawe. The person has got Lidloti lenzuza. The person has got Lidloti lemnguni. And those are not our relatives as such. When we say a person has got Umdawe, we are not talking about those who have died.
In the family.
Yeah, in the family. Even Gogo, even if she might have had Umdawe, now I have inherited Umdawe that was in Gogo, and now that Umdawe, it's now in me, but as Umdawe, but it's not that I have inherited Gogo. I've inherited Umdawe that was in Gogo. That is what was in Gogo. Now that Umdawe is working also within me, because you know, Gucci, when Lidlozi come at home, liyamukelwa. Kunezi lapho khona kuthiwa abantu bayagoduswa, abantu bayahanjiswa bayiswe ekhaya, kufanele kube ne-ceremony whereby Lidlozi liyamukelwa la ekhaya. We accept Lidlozi. And when we accept Lidlozi, it's now part of us. It's going to be part of the inheritance. That's why, as I've said in one video, that Lidlozi, if it comes with Makoti, which most of them, you know, previously, most people who were becoming Izangoma, previously, it was mostly women. You see, mostly it was women. Women were the most who were becoming Sangoma previously.
It's still the case, though, Ketla.
Eh?
It's still the case, eh? It's still the case. It's still more women who are.
Yeah, the calling mostly this calling was more for women. You know, even now when you're talking about, you know, like now when you're talking, maybe you're talking about Themba. For me, people whom I know as the best for Themba are women. Yeah. You know, most men, what I have seen about them, they are mostly good of being a makedla, where they work mostly with muti. And that's where most of men, you find them, they are most good. But now when you come to being Sangoma, in Sangoma mostly it was women, and mostly they were the one who used to come with the spirit at home, because I will take someone to be my wife, and then that person now, when we find out that person has got umdawe, has got inzuza, and then now we will accept that umdawe and inzuza like higher. And then now, when that one has passed on, that Gogo has passed on, the children now within this home will be born with the same spirit. That's why we used to, when you take a wife who has got a spirit, you have to lobola the spirit, because it gets inside the home. You see, because the spirit, it gets inside. You can't just, you know, I've seen people now, they take people with Amadlozi, they don't lobola the spirit. And then when they don't lobola the spirit, that marriage won't last. Yeah, it won't last, because you will find that the spirit was not, it must be accepted like higher, and the spirit must be lobolat.
And you
so
cannot
that now,
the wife without the spirit, because this is one thing. So
yeah. No, the spirit will take the wife out at the end of the day. We want to take the wife out because so now you didn't accept it, you didn't pay lobola for the spirit. And then if you didn't pay lobola for the spirit, then the spirit might cause problems. And then maybe, which might end up, then you have a divorce or something. You see, because what has happened now, you did not pay lobola for the spirit. The spirit must be pay lobola and become part of the family, because it's going to work within this family. Even some of the children will inherit the spirit. Maybe if now, if the spirit now is born here and then is being inherited by my girl child, and then she's taken now in another family, obviously she will go with that spirit into that family now. And into that family, they must pay lobola for that spirit now that is going to do some work. Because you know, sometimes when we come like bunyanga, maybe it's because of now of lack of knowledge. It has become like it's a curse when we have got a calling. But to be specific, the calling, it's an inheritance. You see, when you have got that spirit, any of the spirit, you must know that you have been favored. You have been favored by the ancestors. You are a chosen one. And you have inherited ubukhosi. You see, you have inherited ubukhosi. And then that's why such spirit, it must be lobolat. It must be paid when it into that family, because there's ubukhosi that has been inherited into that family. You know, when you take a wife from a royal family, you normally pay more. You must know that if you take a wife from a royal family, you are going to pay a little bit more than taking just a normal woman, because now you are taking someone of royalty into your home. And at the very same person, if you take umakhosi, someone onobukhosi, you must expect that things will be a bit different, because someone has come with ubukhosi. This is an inheritance. You see, it's an inheritance. That's why people, they must understand, you have got this inheritance. Your lifestyle is going to be different, because now you have inherited ubukhosi, and ubukhosi children of royalty, they must know that they won't live like commoners, because this is a high calling at the end of the day from ancestors. It's calling Yebukos, you see. So, but now we are still differentiating between the ancestor, Ulitongo and Lidlos. Yeah, with Lidlos is the spirit.
Let's pause here. Let's pause.
Yeah.
Pause there and just regroup. Well, you were speaking on the very important matters that you're touching on here. Ordinarily we had, we still do actually, that a lot of the people who get the calling to be diviners or tangoma, or not necessarily tangoma, because other people are diviners, but tangoma. But the people in that way, with what we're talking about, were normally female. And
yes.
basebenda nge-spirit labathole kubo gogo babo. Gogo babo came from their homes, from their own gogos with this spirit. And they come in this home, and the children of this family inherit those spirits, or they are born with those spirits. And also, I think that's just one thing that we need to note, that livamse kuchabuka nabo gogo, this loti. And also it would explain why a lot of the times it's Togoza gogo.
Yes, exactly, because mostly this field, it was mostly occupied. Even the word inyanga, moon, from a moon, it's a feminine word. You know, when you're talking of a moon, you are talking of a feminine energy. A moon is known to emit a feminine energy. Even the days of women, they are calculated using inyanga, and then they will say it's inyanga yake. You see, in all the like, because when you're talking of a moon, you are talking of inyanga, and inyanga is the feminine energy. It's unlike the sun, known to be the emitting the masculine energy, which is the Ra, which is the father side. But when you're talking of a moon, you're talking of something that is feminine. So that's why
we refer to it, we give it the Mkhulu and the energy we relate to the moon, because of the femininity of the energy.
Yeah, that's it, exactly, because moon, after all, the word moon, inyanga, and inyanga, and what it say, inyanga, it's a feminine word at the end of the day, because most of these the people who were, you know, when you can sit down and look at the bungoma very well, and look at it even when they dance, and if they dance, even the dance, it's a feminine dance. If you can look at it, it's a feminine dance. It's not a masculine dance. It's a feminine dance, because most of them, they used to be women who were sangomas. Yeah, they used to be women. So that's why the dance is even more feminine. Most of the things that are done there, they are more feminine, because most of the people who were called in this were women. Even now you can sit down and yeah.
That also, it would explain also when we look at Mkhulu, who are actually possessed by my spirits, their Gogo spirits, who were healers. Find you will find that when they take on, or when they are actually go into trance, or when they get possessed, I would say that because we're using it today, they come out as very feminine most of the time. So it's their gogos that are coming out, even in males, and a lot of the time. So it also will take us to a topic for another day, that of homosexuality, because when you started here, you mentioned that spirit is genderless. So it's a topic for another day. But I would like us to just keep it there, just to note it, that it is something that we are going to come back to in modules to come. That another thing that you mentioned is that another thing that you mentioned is that Itongo is all of our people who pass on, and those are the people that we pasha to, and
Yes.
those are not people that will have possessed us, because we're speaking of this module is about Amadlozi and the different spirits and how the spirits work. So I'd like us to speak on Litongo and how, because that is what a whole lot of people find that they experience. They experience Itongo, and we speak now of this a widely, Utwasa has become a wide thing, and people find themselves seba twasa, not because Budeshot, but because there's this communication that is happening in Namatongo, and then they get to spaces and they are told, or they assume that this is Lishoti coming through. Well, if you dream of your dad and you have dreams of your father, you get messages from your late parents, or even your grandparents and great grandparents who are not necessarily Amatloti but Amatongo. It's I'd like for you to actually discuss that, Mkhulu, that how Litongo communicates and how we can refine that communication in Litongo, and also to be how we are able to tell that this is a spiritual as opposed to Litongo, so that people are not finding themselves in a situation where now they are twasaring because they are dreaming or they are getting communication from Amatongo.
You know, sometimes the majority of the people who are supposed to go twasa, the majority of them, when they are born, you see, bavama kuba kule situation where they say bazalwa bembethe. Some majority of them, you see, kuba kule situation yokuthi umuntu uzelwe anenguba as a sign to show ukuthi this person doesn't come alone. Una someone, there is a spirit lanaso, you see. But the person, as the person grows up, the visions, they won't be just the normal visions like you pupe Gogo, akvakashela, because generally everyone must dream of those who have passed on. It's very important. What normally makes us not to dream about those who have passed on, giving us directions, it is because of the lifestyle that we live. And normally we eat wrong food, and then they block us so that we cannot have a clear.
We're too busy as well, Kesha. We're too busy. So much is going on in our lives that that hinder that kind of communication.
We are too busy to listen to them, and the stuff, the lifestyle, then it makes it a bit difficult for us to have that communication. And the other thing that we normally, if you can consider these days, when a person has passed on, we no longer do those ceremonies that are very important for those who have passed on, because a person cannot just simply be itongo la kaya or asebenze la kaya and then isiphahle kuye ngokuthi sowushonile. No, there are ceremonies that needs to be done. Umuntu mele aphakanyiswe, akhushulwe, agezwe. You see, kufana noma uyothwasa, awukwazi ukuyothwasa abantu bakini laba lothwasa egameni labo bangagezwanga, bangakhushulwanga. Kungakho some of bogobela uma bafika bazokwenza ihlabela imbuzi yekugeza, kuzama ukugeza emadlozi akho, because awukwazi ukuthwasela kubantu labangagezwanga, bahloba, baba right, bese sohamba uyathwasela wena on top of them. So kumele ukuthi these people bagezwe, bahlandwe, baphakanyiswe, bakhushulwe, bakhone ke ukuthi baba ngamadlozi, so that you can address them as emathongo lahlobile, inyanya tala khaya letihle. Ngoba again, any person uma azalwa, uzalwa with a specific person lombhekile. The thing ukuthi we because of the lifestyle we are so ignorant, but you know that in English they say there is a guardian angel. You see, but umuntu ne guardian angel yakhe. But thine siyathi ukuthi umuntu nedlozi lakhe or unelithongo lakhe unalelo leli specific leli assigned kubogogo bakho, or leli assigned for wena nje. in particular, and noma uhamba ngilo leli kuvikelako, yilo leli director, and your communication with that person must be very clear, and you must be able to listen. You know that that's a very person who can even help you to avoid accident, to avoid doing bad things, because he's the one who will tell you when you're driving and say, no, don't take this road. Take this road, don't take this road. But if the communication is not clear, you are likely now to make so many mistakes because you are not in good communication with your tongue that is assigned to you, in which in English they're talking of a guardian angel. So that's the tongue which every person unalelo tonga lakhe leli assigned for yena. Beside ukuthi une calling uzoba nyanga uzoba yini ngoba we are all, at the end of the day, we are all spiritual. Sonke sibantwana bemadlozi at the end of the day. Yeah. So sonke everyone under on emadlozi umntwana wethongo mathongo sonke emathongo asibhekile. The thing ukuthi ke we sometimes neglect them, and as we neglect them we find ourselves we miss it, and then the communication aisabi, because sometimes we disobey. We don't even listen when it says do this, and you do your own ways, and then it gives up on you at the end of the day. And then now I'm emadlozi akufulathele. Yeah.
You're touching on again. I want you to be able to clarify, like you've done actually, that wonke umuntu unedloti lakhe. Two, the communication should be a normal thing. It should be a thing. The communication between this realm and the spirit realm, or between us and our ancestors, should be a normal thing when we're speaking of skhuluma ngamathongo. Also, I asked you earlier that the difference that we're trying to make here is that why we have to twasa, and how you make the difference. Because these are just my people communicating with me, and this is actually what also makes all of the difference in when you go and hlola. Because your people, it's normal that people should be communicating with you. It's abnormal when they are not communicating with you. If they're not communicating, it's another reason to go hlola actually. Why bangakhulumina? But it's normal also. Then you do not get told by umuntu that you need to twasa. That is something that should be happening in that space between you and your people, so that you do not twasa ngoba you are getting communication, because that is what is happening. People are getting communication ngamathongo wabo, and then they get to spaces, and then they actually even think, because of everything that they have had, that they now need to twasa. Guys, what is happening is actually natural. That is the one thing that should actually be happening, that your ancestors or your tongos are speaking to you. That does not necessarily mean you have to twasa. You just take on those messages, and if you now find that now that your tongo should be able to communicate that to you. It's not something that you should be finding.
In fact, it's not very, when you humble your shoulder, normally, if definitely we have got a calling, it won't be like it will be just a confirmation of what you have already seen, and your dreams, your visions. There are so many things that will happen within your body that will show you that you have got a specific calling. There are so many things that will happen within you, because you will have a connection on another level, not at that normal whereby a person, because now to you, there is another spirit now that is involved, because now, especially, one time I've spoke of the maturity of the spirit, that the spirit can be matured, can be not be matured, that now you can go for Gutwas. Because some people, they can have, like for example, at home. At my home, everyone born at my home has got umdawe. But it doesn't mean everyone must go for Gutwas. But the spirit of umdawe is there to almost anyone. You see, that's why for that.
Hold it, Mkhulu. So now the people in your home,
Yeah.
But it does not necessarily mean goodbye or twice. But
Yes.
the person or the people that have to go twasa will be twasering ugogo wabo or lomdawo bosebenza ngagogo wabo.
It's because you know what, when you check like in the previous family, especially our family at home, the family has been so saturated ngezangoma at the back. You see, the family, it's a family of izangoma.
Okay.
So in that way, it makes it that anyone almost born within that family will have the spirit, because when you go back, you know, like when you go like in my grandfather's side, almost everyone, all the sisters were sangomas, including him. Almost everyone, the mother was a sangoma, the father was a sangoma. You see that it's a family of sangoma. So in that way, when anyone now born in that family will have no more. Yeah, we will be there, and then but now it will depend to the maturity. If it will mature to the point that that person must go for Utwasa or not. There are those ones it will mature that they must go for Utwasa, and there are those ones the spirit will live with them. But we know, like as a family, they are like Emma here, which is compulsory for everyone to have in the family, like Ipalo and Injeti. It's compulsory, whether you twasile or awatwas, because of the spirit that is there. You must always recognize the spirit, and that must be there always. Even if you don't go for initiation, but at the same time, the spirit will be there in you. Will be there in you, and it will do some certain work, in fact, even in you. Though even if you have not gone for initiation, but the spirit will be there. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a very deep topic that we are discussing, and it's the first one. It's the first lesson of the module 2 of Amadlozi.
Yeah.
And this is today we're trying to actually break down the difference. Okay, we're speaking mainly of Lidlot Lasekaya because that is how you are gifted as a person. You are gifted through Lidlot Lasekaya. And broken it down, Umdawu and other spirits, I'm not going to mention them now, will be that we twasa, and we find that we work with or are tools in the healing space that we're in. Madloti, la bega possesse, that Loti la lakaya, let is giving you the work. That is
They were working in the Namatonga air too. And they were working inside the home. Gogo before. And then we inherit them as those spirits, and we are born with those spirits, so that we will continue. Because that little wants to work. Once it's there, wants to work. That's why if it doesn't work, it causes cryos. You see, when no one is taking the calling and no one is doing the work, sometimes even the family can disappear. It can destroy everything at the end of the day because it's there to work. You see, it's a spirit that you are born with. You know, spirits, as I've said, that you are born with are almost impossible that you can remove them. It's just like when a person has got the spirit that we call ingwens, you cannot remove that spirit. You see, it's a troubling spirit, but if you think any sangoma will remove that spirit, it's impossible. No one can remove it. The only thing you have to learn to live with it and work with it. That's it. Because it's part of you. See, if something is part of you, it can never be removed at the end of the day. Yeah.
So what a takeaway, Gogo, I think would be that our sitwasi amatongo, sitwasa emadloti. Or the takeaway would be we do not twasa ematongo, we initiate through Amadloti. And Amadloti, Bokoko Betro, or people in our lineage who who had initiated and were initiated healers and for us to work or want to work through us. Also, this is actually now the difference. Amatongo will communicate with us. Amatongo is all the people that are in our lineage who have passed on. So those will communicate with us, and that communication should be a normal thing. That also so that when you know that when you start dreaming, when you're getting all these dreams, or you get all sorts of other communication, things speaking to you, some things you actually do see, and when you start getting that, or some things you actually feel as well. Sometimes it will be physical sensations. It's lots of ways to communicate, but a lot of it happens through the dreams. So that is normal. That does not necessarily mean that you have to now go and initiate. Also, to take away is that if you're not in a position where you are actually getting communication from your ancestors, that is when you should actually worry, because that should be the norm. That because we are spiritual before we are physical, we should understand that communication from the spiritual world should be a norm for us. These people live in our DNA. We are made up. We are the same. It's our DNA. We have a shared DNA. So we should understand that them communicating with us should be happening. So it should not be it should not be the thing that we view as being abnormal. What is abnormal is the fact is when you are not dreaming, or when you are not getting any kind of communication. And fix that, Gogo. If that is not happening, take the time and make the means to fix that, so that you actually are protected, because a lot of these people that we have are here to protect us. They are here to guide us. And if we are not able to communicate, then we are in trouble. Then we have issues that we need to sort out. That is when you would say, go to a sangoma, or get to a healer who's not necessarily a sangoma, someone that will help you to forge that communication between you and your ancestors, because that is something that you actually need to be able to live a better life. And also, what Mkhulu mentioned is that the things that we do for our tongos, or our ancestors, the people in our lineage who actually pass on, who would be ordinarily guilty, would be our parents. Some of us lose children. Some of us, we all will lose somebody. So we all lose people. It is incumbent upon us to make good for those people, so that they rest easy, and so that also they are able to then be able to be good spirits for us, that will communicate things that we need to know, and things that we need to progress in life, things that we need, because we don't have to experience everything ourselves. Things that they have experienced, they can teach us. So some lessons that we learn so hard or with difficulty is things that should not be so difficult. If that communication line was open, some things should be simpler, because we would be getting those messages and we'd be able to know how to handle them. And some of these things would actually be protected from the things that would be protected from these things if we actually could pull out our people and make them in their spaces. This is things that we don't just owe it to them, but we also owe it to ourselves, because these people are us and we are them. Mkhulu, I think you may want to, we have 7 minutes. From the summation of what I have actually, of what we have made of the lesson, today's lesson, I'm sure there's things that you may want to add. Next week we will be looking at, we'll now get into breaking down the different losses. We'll look at Inzunza, we'll look at Umdiki. In the future, we will look at Umguni, we'll look at Amadlozi, and what those spirits are and how they work through us. It was important that we start with Sekaya and who actually gives us, and how that connects with the other losses that then we find that we are working with.
Yeah, and I think then we need to know which is lozi. It's not only who also lives in us. These people, they also live in us through our blood. I'm saying through their blood. Their blood is within us. You see, the person might be dead there, but you must remember that part of that person is still alive.
In you.
It is within you. So if that person who is there has not been cleansed, and it also have a negative connotation to you, because part of the person it's within you, lives in you, and then it will make that person not to perform well even within you, because the person is not cleansed there. Because when you cleanse that person there, it also affects you, because you must know that the blood of that person, it lives in you. You know, ancestors, that's why it's not a belief. We can't classify it as a belief, because it's something that exists. It's something that can be proven. You know, belief is something that is based on something that cannot be proven. You see, but now when you're talking of ancestors, we're talking of Elitonga, we're talking of some people who have lived, people whom we have got, their DNA lives in us. Even if you go,
believe or you don't believe in them,
whether you believe them, but they live in it. Because even if you go to their grave and dig there and take a DNA from them, you take it from you, you go to the lab, it can be proven about those people. So the existence of these people is proven, and those people, they live in you. They might have died, but they're still alive, but they're living inside you, those people. So if you do good for them, you are also doing good for yourself. That's why if you neglect them, you have neglected yourself. If you neglect them, then it comes back and like you have neglected yourself, and then they will say, Amadlozi akuflathele, because you have turned around yourself, because those people are you and they are part of you. So that's why if bashiye imituntu yabo, ikhwama zabo, they will want you to inherit them, to take them over, because to them it's like they are still alive, but they live in you. You see, when you have got children, you don't die. You live you live forever through your children. People who perish and die is those people who have died without their children, because after all, you become only Litonga to those you have given birth to. You don't become Litonga bantu longa you have not given birth to. You see, your own children are the one whom you by Litonga labo. So that's why if you didn't have children, you won't have ngeke ube Litonga, because uyobalithongo labani, because you live in, you won't live in anyone after you.
You won't have grandchildren, you won't have great-grandchildren.
Yeah, with great-grandchildren, you continue to live. And as you continue to live, you assign some of them to take imituntu yako, to take izikhwama and carry on with the torch which you are doing to heal the people, because you were called to heal the people. So the little lako, because it's like higher, you assign it to some of your children to carry on and do the work of the healing of the nation, because this is a beautiful calling at the end of the day, to heal the nation. And there's no much more joy in this calling than seeing people getting healed. That's the most important thing. Yeah.
So guys, I know that you may be wondering and have questions about how do we make help our people who have passed on rest, and how do we help their spirits to ascend. I know there'll be questions about that, and it's something that we are actually going to go into in the future, in future lessons, and who becomes it, and how do we make people itongo lelihle, and how and also how are they spirits cleansed? How are the spirits cleansed?
How are they being cleansed?
So we're going to do that, but not in this module. It's going to be part of another module. So Gogo na Mkhulu, siyabonga kusijoyina kakhulu. Mkhulu acele wena kuvalelisa, nene ndawuvalelisa nami I'm going to wrap up.
Siyathokozisa ninonke emakhaya, siyanithokozisa bogogo nabomkhulu kwindzaweni tonke. Ngithi thokozani, hayi imloko nje lebesikusho namhla. Ngiyathemba ukuthi umehluko welithongo nedlozi uvakele emakhaya, bawubonile ukuthi what is the difference, and nangaleli ilanga sizaphinde siqhubeke. Ngithi thokozani nonke, nibe nesuku lelihle. Ndawuwe.
Ndawuwe shewe, ndawuwe Mkhulu. Thokozani bogogo, siyabonga kakhulu. Thokozani na everybody lokhona ekhaya, yini nine nemadlodweni nemathongo wenu. I hope today's lesson was enlightening in a lot of ways. I know there will be questions. This lesson is going to go up on YouTube tomorrow night. So for those who have missed it, or for people that want to go over it again, please put in your questions on there. We will try to respond to them as they come on. Do not give up on us. Sometimes you are slow because there's other things that we do, but we actually do always go back to respond to those questions. Mkhulu, thank you very much for your time. Lidlot lakho likhanyise Mkhulu, kukhanye kudede bomnyama, hey, because hey, uyafundisa khehla. And nebantu, also I want them to know that it's possible to book a consultation no Mkhulu, to see Mkhulu. Just holla, put it on and also put it on the comments in the YouTube channel, that on our YouTube channel, as we will upload this question. And also, don't forget to like and to subscribe to the channel. Afro Sebi, thank you very much. Thokozani.